I dare say, and I'll stand with it any day, anybody who doesn't understand and practice the word of faith in their Christian walk will be end up looking hypocritical. No matter how good intention they are, God doesn't have access to your mind. God doesn't have access to your body to turn it whichever way he wants to turn your body. He said, I told Joshua, this book of the law must not depart out of your mouth. You know, people think that they'll say, oh, it is a word of faith ministers, a word of faith. It is not a word of faith emphasis. It is not. The message of the gospel, the revelation of righteousness, Paul himself, we didn't say, Paul said, this is the word of faith that we preach. I dare say, and I'll stand with it any day, anybody who doesn't understand and practice the word of faith in their Christian walk will be end up looking hypocritical. No matter how good intention they are. How do we know this? James chapter 3 and verse 2. He says, in many things we offend all. He says, but if any man offend not in word, in speech, all right, is a perfect man and able to bridle his whole body. Then in verse 3 he says, we put bits in horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. In other words, God is saying, if we are going to turn the body of a person, if we're going to get a person to obey the gospel, we have to put the word on the mouth of that person, bits in horses' mouth, so that they can obey, and then we can turn about their body. Without that, God doesn't have access to your mind. God doesn't have access to your body to turn it whichever way he wants to turn your body. Moses, when he taught the law, in the law, he gave them the secret to it. That's why Joshua understood it. This book must not depart out of your mouth. Put the word on your lips in order for it to get into your heart. Look, or else it is just a form of godliness that denies the power thereof. So I will pray in the spirit, I will pray in the understanding. So this pure prayer in the understanding. And Pentecostals, we don't practice this. When Jesus said, tarry until you are endued with power from on high, when you tell the average Christian now, Pentecostal, he said, when they say tarry, he just says, I'm speaking in tongues. That's what he means. But they couldn't speak in tongues then. So what were they doing? You know, let me tell you this. I don't do arrogance or Pentecostalism. I don't. Listen, I do not. From school, when we were doing word movement, Deeper Life people were my friends. I preached in every fellowship on campus except Deeper. There's only Deeper that didn't allow me because I have to take permission. The rest, somebody came, he said, how can you? I don't do it. I don't do all this and word person, revelation. I listen to everybody. Even the person that I'm looking at that he says, I don't believe in tongues. That's your problem. How come you're a Christian for 60 years without a scandal? There is something you are doing right.